Right now on Denver7 News at 10, slick, icy roads up and down the Front Range.
The roads may look clear at any given moment, but they're going to freeze and refreeze.
What drivers need to know tonight and for the morning commute.
Plus, ramping up the vaccine rollout. President Biden ordering 200 million more doses.
We're excited to get it out because this is life-saving and it's about ending the pandemic.
What it means for Coloradans and how soon you'll be able to get your shot.
And a search and rescue group scrambling after a thief makes off with thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
Whoever broke in, they got in there relatively quick and they grabbed as much as they could, as quickly as they could to get out.
How you can help support these volunteers and their life-saving work. We're going to start with a live look at the roads tonight, and things aren't great. That blast of snow followed by the below freezing temperatures means roads are icy right now.
And we've had some pretty ugly wrecks today. This is what it looked like on I-25 near Loveland. This was this afternoon. More than 17 vehicles crashed. 6 people were taken to the hospital, thankfully only with minor injuries. I-25 is open at this hour, and all over the state it is just icy in spots out there.
Yuck. All right, welcome to Denver7 News at 10. I'm Shannon Ogden.
Good evening, I'm Ann Trujillo, and thank you for joining us on this chilly Denver7 Weather Action Day.
Let's get right to our friend, Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson. Mike, the snow's moving on, but the cold is here really solidly through that morning commute.
And that'll mean tomorrow morning is icy as well, especially streets, sidewalks, bridges, ramps, shady areas. Watch out for that. As far as the snowfall, it wasn't big, generally a couple of inches most of the metro, up to 5 around Estes Park, and it's really diminished now, just down to lingering flurries. A little bit more out near the Kansas-Nebraska border and over southern Colorado, but the main thing tonight that will fall, temperatures. They're already getting quite cold. Down to 14 Denver and Greeley. It's 5 at Akron and 13 degrees at Fort Collins. By morning, we are in the single digits as the flurries end and the skies start to clear. That means some pretty icy roads for late tonight, early tomorrow. Then not as cold, and then a big warm-up. I'll let you know when temperatures bounce back to 60 degrees.
So that'll feel nice, Mike. Thanks very much. Take a live look now. This is I-25 in Spear here in Denver. And I think a lot of us in Colorado are used to driving in the snow. But the problem on our roads tonight and tomorrow morning will be the ice. And as you know, and CDOT reminds us, that's different.
It's more difficult to drive on icy roads than it is on snowy roads. So you really have to drive smart. You really have to take it slow, leave plenty of following distance, and avoid driving if you can.
And really on the bridges and overpasses, take it slow because those are what tends to ice over first.
And ice isn't the only thing you need to worry about. If you're heading west on I-70 tomorrow morning, drivers should expect major delays starting at about 9 a.m. between Glenwood Springs and Rifle. Crews are there working to recover this mangled FedEx truck. It crashed on Sunday, and they're bringing a crane in tomorrow morning to haul it out. CDOT plans to keep one eastbound lane open during the work, so just be prepared for backups in that area.
A troubling milestone today in the coronavirus pandemic. 100 million cases now confirmed around the globe. A full quarter of them from right here in the U.S. And Johns Hopkins reports that so far more than 2 million people worldwide have died from the virus. And
to end the pandemic, the U.S. is pinning its hopes on vaccinating the majority of people in our country. And today, President Biden laid out his plan to speed up that process.
Right now, the federal government ships about 8.5 million doses to states each week. The president is boosting that to 10 million for the next 3 weeks.
And he's upped the order to Pfizer and Moderna by an extra 200 million doses. That would be enough to fully vaccinate 300 million people, just about everyone in the U.S., by the end of the summer or early fall.
So what does that mean for you, you'd like to know? Denver7 CB Cotton takes a look at how the changes could affect the vaccine rollout in our state.
The Colorado Department of Public Health says if the state's current vaccine supply were tripled or quadrupled, they'd be immediately ready to use it. But we're not there yet. These new plans from President Biden mean that Colorado will only get an additional 14,000 doses each week for the next 3 weeks. Governor Jared Polis says it's a step in the right direction. As vaccines go into arms, life gets one step closer to the way we knew it pre-pandemic.
Vaccines are the path back to the Colorado we know, we love.
On Tuesday, Governor Jared Polis says that path in the hands of the Biden administration and its ability to increase state vaccine distribution. The Biden team says they need aggressive steps to get us out of the pandemic. It starts with the goal to administer 100 million shots in the first 100 days in office.
If the Biden administration succeeds in 100 million doses in 3 months, That's roughly 1 in 4 Coloradans, 1 in 4 Americans, translates to 1 in 4 Coloradans. That would start having a profound impact on ending the pandemic.
Shortly after the governor's remarks, President Joe Biden with this announcement.
We will increase overall weekly vaccination distributions to states, tribes, and territories from 8.6 million doses to a minimum of 10 million doses.
The increase means Colorado will receive about 100,000 vaccines for next week, an increase from the state's usual 70 to 80,000. Governor Jared Polis on CNN Tuesday evening saying it's a good step.
It's a 16% increase, which is moving the right direction. In addition, it's providing stability for 3 weeks.
3 weeks that Polis says allows the state to focus on finishing vaccinations for Colorado's most vulnerable.
Currently in Colorado, we're rapidly making our way through people age 70 and up, and then we'll go down to 65 soon.
But ultimately, for a state with over 5 million people, Governor Polis says the president has to continue to increase shipments to states to end the pandemic.
It's going to take a very long period of time at these levels, so I'm really hopeful that that quantity ramps up into March and April.
CB Cotton, Denver7.
And another element to ramping up vaccine distribution is getting another vaccine on the market. Johnson & Johnson says it will release data on its vaccine trial next week. And this is a single dose shot. Of course, that could help speed things up. If this one's approved by the FDA, the company has a goal of getting 100 million doses to the U.S. by the end of June.
Nearly 7% of Coloradans already received a dose of the coronavirus vaccine, and your chance of getting the shot, well, it varies widely depending upon where you live. This map shows vaccination rates in Denver. The darker areas are home to people who got the shot already. Things look good in well-to-do neighborhoods like Central Park and Cherry Creek. Then areas where people of color live, like Montbello and Lincoln Park, vaccination rates are much lower. And local hospitals are trying to figure out how to close that gap.
Black and Latinx communities who have felt the burden of the pandemic in terms of health outcomes and economic outcomes, really trying to target them, it's still providing a giant gap. And that gap is more problematic when there isn't the supply to give, when that demand and need is there.
State Senator Julie Gonzalez says it's clear the Latino community is having difficulty getting the vaccine. So this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, state health staff will hold a pop-up vaccine clinic for those 70 and older at Servicios de la Raza at 14th and Federal. You must call first to set up an appointment.
We know you have a lot of questions about the vaccine right now. So right now, the best thing we're advising to do, call the state's vaccine hotline. There's a number right now. Now, do be prepared to wait if you call. We called today at 4:45 p.m. and somebody picked up 45 minutes later. The good news, though, is come Monday, that hotline will be staffed 24 hours a day.
And right now, Colorado is heading in the right direction. Our case numbers are trending down. Our state reported just over 1,100 new cases today. And the number of hospital beds in use because of the virus is at 740. That is a big difference from a month ago when more than 1,100 were hospitalized. State health officials say numbers are well down from the peak in November and December, and they keep on dropping. And still keep this number in mind, 1 in 115 Coloradans is infectious.
The Justice Department is scrapping a Trump-era rule of zero tolerance for migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border illegally. Now, it resulted in thousands of families being separated because children could not be jailed with their adult family members. Prosecutors now will be instructed to look at each case individually. But President Biden's immigration reforms hit a bump today. A federal judge temporarily barred the government from creating a 100-day pause on deportations. That deportation pause was a key campaign promise for Biden.
Today, senators were sworn in for the second impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump, and there are early signs it may not lead to a conviction. In a vote today, 45 Senate Republicans backed a measure to dismiss the trial as unconstitutional. It failed after it was blocked by the remaining 55 senators. 17 Republicans would need to join all Democrats in the Senate to vote to convict Trump. Now, both sides now have 2 weeks to prepare their cases, and the trial is set to start the week of February 8th. Colorado Democrats Joe Neguse and Diana DeGette are 2 of the 9 impeachment managers and will present the case against the former president.
Well, search and rescue teams put their lives at risk to help save lives and track down missing loved ones.
And now one crew serving Adams and Lincoln counties says it's been dealt a tough blow after a thief stole thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
Denver7's Addie Guajardo shows us the many ways this team makes a difference. And tonight, how you can help them get back on their feet.
I've got a snow shovel, jumper cables, cones for traffic,
Preparedness.
gloves. I got a climbing harness.
It's the key to the success for the Rampart Search and Rescue Team.
It's anywhere from a missing child that's in town to people that are stranded.
Chief David Haskin has volunteered more than 2 decades.
Something that all search and rescue teams have.
His team serves Adams and Lincoln County.
We've got a bike team, we've got a canine team, we've got a drone team.
But sometimes even the best need a hand.
They broke in through this gate
And into the team's storage unit off Huron Street in North Glen.
There were some items that were missing in this area right here.
The thief made off with vital lights.
Well, they kind of pilfered through some stuff and snagged.
And equipment.
It was a little over $10,000.
A blow that hurts a team, making a difference.
Everybody's a volunteer. They basically crippled us.
Insurance caps out at $5,000. And even then, David says he's not sure how much will be covered since they didn't have photos of their belongings to prove their case.
Because we don't have this equipment, we cannot be out there 100%.
It's why they need your help replacing the stolen belongings.
It would be nice if they could help us.
So they can get back to work, breathing hope, and bringing loved ones home.
When you're missing a loved one or missing somebody, you want somebody to go out there and help.
Addie Guajardo, Denver7.
So if you would like to help, there is an easy way to donate. Head to thedenverchannel.com, click on the Denver7 Gives tab, and select Support Rampart Search and Rescue to make your donation now.
Coming up on Denver 7 News at 10, an incredible act of generosity exactly when it's needed most.
There is so nice people up there and still willing to help. And, we just wanted to say thank you for that.
The heartwarming surprise a longtime customer had for staff at one local restaurant.
Plus a new plan that could cut costs on menstrual products for those living in Aurora. Last week, we told you about a man who left a $1,400 tip at a bakery in Estes Park.
And it turns out that's not the only outpouring of generosity restaurant workers are experiencing right now. As Denver 7's Gary Brode found out, the giving spirit already spread to a restaurant in Castle Pines.
Generosity is spreading here in Colorado for restaurant workers. Last week, we told you about a man who tipped $1,400 at a bakery in Estes Park. Well, we just found out the generous spirit continues at this restaurant in Castle Pines. At a time when restaurant employees need our support, loyal customers are stepping up, like here at Las Fajitas in Castle Pines.
One day he came in and asked one of my employees how many were working here all together.
A few days later, that man showed up with a stack of cash and this card, thanking the employees who have been serving him for a decade.
So nice people up there and still willing to help. And, you know, we just wanted to say thank you for that.
Jose Lazaro was working when that customer came in with $950 to be split evenly.